Welcome to the Conversations with Deborah and Ioannis. And this is episode 1 of Exploring the Nature of Belief. And this one, we decided to look at gurus. What are they and do they have a role? Because both of us have had our gurus or our teachers, call it what you will, it means the same thing. Well, anyway, that's what we're going to have a look at. Does it mean the same thing? Does it mean the same thing, Deborah?
Yeah, I suppose it does.
Yeah, okay, so guru is teacher. When I spent 2 years in ashram, we were taught that one guru is all guru. So they're all part of one lineage, I guess, of teaching. I can take these off now so I don't have to read anything. Ah, that's much better. All my wrinkles have just gone.
Wrinkle, wow.
That's the best thing, everybody. As you get older and your eyes start going, you look at yourself in the morning and go, well, I don't look that old after all. Then you put your glasses on. But anyway.
Yeah. It depends, I suppose, what faith you come from, because, rabbi is teacher and pastor is like a shepherd, so also a teacher. So I'm assuming that guru is leader. What is the actual definition of guru?
I think it's teacher.
Okay.
I know we should have researched this and had a look, and I could have a quick look on my phone, but I'm pretty sure it's teacher.
Okay.
Please, in your comments, correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah.
But why we've put this in the Nature of Belief series is because if you believe you can get something from a teacher, then you will, obviously. And I know I was very disenfranchised at school because I just didn't believe that they were teaching me what I needed to know to live the life I felt I wanted to live, which is amazing that you do this at 10, 12 years. I bunked weeks of school. I got in so much trouble. I just thought it was more fun playing in shopping malls than going to school. So I did go. But when I was in an ashram, I became a disciple of Guru and went through the not overly elaborate ceremony, but went through a ceremony to be an official disciple, because I felt that having a spiritual teacher was better than not. It was just receiving guidance that was more linear. It turned out it wasn't that linear, because it was not because it was a woman, but this particular woman was so multi-faith. It was kind of all over the place, and women, they're just so different to men that I couldn't make sense of. Okay, hang on, what is it this week? We're doing Elohim. What the hell's Elohim? I was only, getting my head around Shiva last week, so it was a bit tricky. But what's your experience? You've had a totally different teacher experience, darling. What happened with you?
Yeah, so for me, my thoughts or my knowledge falls around the Christian faith. So for us, that's a minister or pastor and a priest. But mine was particularly around the what we would call happy clappy church. So our pastor is basically a.
I always laugh when you say the happy clappy church.
Yeah,
I can just imagine them. Was it called Christian, or was it Baptist or Methodist or?
No, so basically
evangelical.
No, yeah, the evangelical, born again, born again, spirit-filled, tongue speaking, that sort of stuff. So we pastored So our leadership, or our gurus, are called pastors. And
Okay.
and so, you know, what I found there was, you know, they stuck pretty much strictly to what was taught in the Bible, but each you know, denomination or each doctrine could change, you know, according to the personality of the pastor or the priest, or you know, like for instance, you have like your hill songs, and then you have a leader that dictates you know, where the actual teachings go, where the you know, what is taught, what is not taught, what is not acceptable. So basically it's your Christian church and your Bible, your you know, your traditional Bible, your standard Bible, but then the, you know, the doctrine can change slightly.
Did you have to give up your money?
We paid 10% tithe into the church. Yeah. So that was
because I know Hillsong kind of rinse you, and I know in our place we kind of, it was offered by donation, but then it changed because they just couldn't run it. People, they were, and a handful were donating more than everybody. You know, they were people that had good jobs or had good pensions or whatever it was were donating a lot, and other people would you know, throwing a fiver in. So they started charging for the courses. But that is another conversation that we have earmarked, which is why don't we get enlightened for free if their service is to God and enlightenment, and or to the divine, however you want to put that. And I'm sorry, I'm on a hillside village and trucks to go past. When we say God, we just kind of want to clarify this. When we say God, what we really are referring to is what you consider to be your divine for you. So, you know, if it's Buddha, if it's the Tao, if it's God in the traditional sense, is it divine? If it's Mother Gaia, any of those, just replace, when we say God, for the one that works for you. We're not saying that there is any God or the God. There is, I mean, my belief is of a divine creative force that is of maybe all-powerful nature. But it's not. I think there's an important question, because this is the heart of belief, isn't it, darling? What you believe on is what's above you, or what is the bigger picture, kind of starts formulating what your individual beliefs are.
Yeah.
And I kind of side with the Native Americans who call it the Great Mystery, because I can't quite put I don't have the consciousness to put my finger on what I couldn't even describe what it is I believe it to be, if you know what I mean. I just know what it is to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so for me, it's a case of going inside. You know, people often say, what do you mean going inside? So for me, I just know that I know that I know. And so some people explain it as being heart-centered, or, you know, for me, it's, you know, it's just going inside and knowing my truth, connecting to my higher self. And so that's what it is for me. Getting back to the gurus and the roles they play in that, you know, since actually not leaving the church, but becoming awakened, I've had 3 different gurus in my life, and it's quite amazing because they've all been special in their own way, and have spent many years connected to divine source, and yet they couldn't be more different. And that's really interesting. Watching their I refer to it as a ministry, which is a really churchy term. But I suppose I don't know really what you would call it.
Ministry works for me.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point because I'm a musician and I've taught a lot of guitar and classroom teaching as well. And I would recommend to anybody that's learning an instrument to get a teacher, because they take you through, and why I think a guru is important to a point, but finding the right guru, and you will, as you found, you will change your gurus. As you develop, you go, well, that guru doesn't serve me anymore on my path, because my path is my own unique path, and I need a different sort of guru for this section of my path. But what you hope to get from your guru is they would have come across some of the hurdles or stumbling blocks, or whatever description you want to use for the challenge that you're going to get at a certain point. And through their experience, they can help guide you over that challenge or through that obstacle or whatever blockage with ease and grace, because they have already done it. So obviously when I'm teaching guitar, I've come across the I don't feel like practicing anymore for a while periods, long periods, and I'm getting sore arms, and so I'm getting pains here, and I'm getting this and that. I've done all that, and I've got very good and very fast and very proficient, and then let it fall. All the stuff that you come across, and that's what I expected from my guru, to help me on my spiritual journey, because I was having trouble staying on it. And that's where I needed the help at the time. And then I felt after a couple of years, I just thought, a couple of things happened. I went, well, I think I need to look for a new guru or a new teacher. And what I'm found now, which is interesting, is you've partly become my teacher since meeting you. But you've led me to a series of publications that have suddenly become my teachers. And it's the same sort of thing for me. It's my guru is in a book. And again, it comes down to, you have to be sure that you believe that this book, this teacher, this thing can help you. Mm-hmm. If you don't believe they can help you, this is why it's the nature of belief. If you don't believe something can help you, it just can't help you no matter what it is. No matter how learned they are and no matter how clever and experienced they are, you must believe. I've done a lot of alternative therapy teaching, and not teaching, but administering. And one of the things I do is called EFT, and EFT is called tapping. And it is so successful that a major university had to do a study to find out why it was so successful. And the only conclusion I can tell you the terms of the thing, but I'll take up too much time. But the only conclusion they could reach at the end is, if the person believes they can be healed by this healer or technique, and the healer believes that they can heal the person, healing takes place.
True.
That's all that's needed for both of them is belief. So that is pretty amazing. So when we talk about gurus, what are they? Well, teachers and guides and mentors is probably the best way to put it. Do you agree?
Yeah, and it's interesting what you said about the tapping, which I don't know anything about. But what I did do was I worked a lot in Africa in ministry. And there are ministries in Africa that are quite amazing, where there are huge healings that take place. I mean, I've seen people healed of AIDS, full-blown AIDS, limbs that have grown and things like that. And that's purely by people's faith in believing the power and the blood of Jesus. So in that type of Christian belief, the guru is Yeshua, Jesus. And the faith or the belief is so powerful that I've seen 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds that have been taught to pray, to lay hands and pray. So what they've been taught is to imitate Yeshua, Jesus, from the teachings. And they know instantly, if you say, I've got a headache, they immediately will jump in and lay hands and start praying. Young children, small children, and they will do it automatically. And those, what we call miracles, take place immediately. It's because there is this belief, they know no better, I used to say. And I don't mean that it's like derogatory or, belittling or whatever, because that's my faith. I mean, I've healed myself from many things. As you know, I don't use doctors. And I'm not saying, that others shouldn't, but that's my belief system, because I've had this relationship with Yeshua and my faith from a young child. I've always used that system. I lay my hands on myself, I pray, and it's done. And so it is that belief in that thing that does it. And I've seen this over and over again in Africa, where whole villages will heal themselves because the power of belief is so strong that they automatically go into prayer, into worship, into laying hands, into talking in tongues, and things start to happen. The Holy Spirit moves, the shift, and they do that because they've been taught by their pastors and whatever. And the belief is so strong that it works. And I've seen other churches that don't have that kind of spiritual belief or whatever, that have not seen that. And they will pray over the same thing because the words are just words. They don't live that specific thing. And it's quite amazing where it is. It is definitely the power of the belief.
But that's an interesting point raised, because in that it's that the pastor taught them to do the thing, but the ultimate power is through Lord Yeshua, through Jesus.
Yes.
So is Jesus the guru, or is the pastor the guru? It's quite interesting. And the third party, like, you wouldn't say that a 5-year-old would be your guru, but no. It's interesting that they're using they're like a vessel, an agent for Yeshua, or an agent for Jesus. It's quite amazing. I can't take this, so I'm going to. Look, it.
I was going to say that the pastor is just teaching, and that's why it's so interesting, because the pastor is teaching the teachings of Jesus. So it is in teaching that example, and then the unwavering belief that in the power of Jesus as sacrifice, when he sacrificed, because that is what the Christian faith teaches. And especially the what we call the happy clappies, or the evangelists, that the power is in the sacrifice on the cross. So by his blood, by his stripes, we are healed. And that's the unwavering belief of that Christian faith. Now, I don't know what the Catholics believe or whatever. I'm sure they believe something similar. But my experience is from actually seeing miracles, demons cast out, all kinds of things, and even children doing it. That's why I mentioned it. There's one specific ministry in Africa, in Mozambique, where children do this, like literally on tap, on demand. They know what to do. They lay hands, they pray, And the most amazing things happen in the spirit. They lift the frequency by singing and worshiping. I've seen this in Zimbabwe. I've seen people pray, get down on their knees, start to 100,000 people start to pray, start to do certain things, worship. The Africans love to worship. They bring in that worship, the frequency. And what happens is they are maybe asking for rain or certain things, and they move it with the power of their belief and that frequency. It's amazing. And then I've seen
interesting. Yeah, go on.
No.
It was just interesting. Go on.
I've seen Christians that have spent their life, third generation past or priests or whatever, that have never seen that kind of ministry, because it's that fine line of having experienced it and shifting the spirit for that miracle to appear or to happen. And they look at you as if you blank, because even though they've served and they've believed, they have not had that momentum or the power to activate those miracles. And it's amazing when they go to places, when people come from places like, specifically I experienced a young couple from Germany that had no understanding about what I'm speaking about. But when they actually got on the ground and experienced it, something shifted, and they understood exactly the power of their belief and how to activate it.
So was the guru needed for that activation of belief? Because it's quite interesting. You said the pastor is teaching them the word of Jesus, but I know it's as you spoke of doctors, so their medical training is in a dogmatic what they're told to how they're told to practice medicine in the modern sense. But 100 years ago, it was completely different. There was natural remedies for everything, and now it's all pharmaceutical remedies. And the interesting thing about the pastors is, as you've told me, a whole load of books of Bibles have been found and were not released. A whole load of, are they called books? Everyone I know very little about Christian faith. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting question, and it does come down to belief again. So I think to round this off, sweetheart, we could probably say that what are gurus? Well, gurus are teachers, and they're not always what we've found from this conversation. They're not always the direct teacher. Sometimes they're a conduit for the direct teacher. They're a mouthpiece for the direct teacher. And what you get is the spirit of the teaching through the mouthpiece. Yeah. And then would you agree it's your belief in the ultimate efficacy or the ultimate power of the guru to teach you that creates the shift, the learning? Is that right? Is that right, do you think?
Yeah, so for me, what I've experienced, coming from the Christian background, having a pastor and being in ministry myself, and then going through, having been led by Lord Yeshua to, a more inclusive kind of belief system. I think that what we need to remember is a guru is no different to us. It is somebody that has spent time studying a certain piece of work. They have absorbed more of it. Yes. But, if it's a Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever, but it still comes down to the fact that that individual that you are following is a human being. So flawed like you, just maybe more evolved in their journey or their path. And a lot of times there comes a time where either you are derailed because of what you see in that guru's personal life, or
that could be your learning.
Exactly, because you start to look at, a lot of people start to look at the guru as if the guru is the higher self or the higher connection to the divine. All the guru is almost like an instruction booklet or a guide in the beginning, so that you have the tools or the know-how to connect. But a lot of people make the mistake. They think the guru is the higher self or the divine source or divine creator. And so they start to follow a human, which is not that. When you start to see a fault in that person, a lot of times it makes the person derail and then say, oh, this is not for me, because they look at the belief or the faith or the religion as that human, that individual. And so they need to step away and say, right, this person or this guru is only for a certain time. I learn to a point and then I become the guru, connected to my higher self.
A very good point.
That's the problem we make. We connect sometimes, not all the time. We connect and we worship or idolize that individual, remembering that individual is not an ascended being. That individual is not a master as yet. If they were, they would have ascended to the higher realms.
Well, no, but we have read they don't always want to ascend. They can be masters and choose to stay as bodhisattvas on earth to help others, Yeah, but it does bring the point, and I think we could probably wrap it up here. I think it's probably clear from both of us that we couldn't have reached our spiritual mastery, our level of, and I'm saying mastery at our level, without the help of these teachers, gurus, whatever, on the way. And as you say, even discovering their flaws is part of your learning, because you learn not to idolize them, not to turn them into gods. They're not gods. They're just people that have, and I've studied more, and Yeshua is a case in point. We're reading the Law of Life, the Life and Teaching of Jesus and Mary, and it just says how much work Jesus did. Jesus basically started being groomed for being Jesus from birth. He was training. He did training and training. He was in schools and in like the best schools, spiritual schools. Went to India, best. So he had the best training and obviously attained the highest enlightenment.
And the best example for us to follow and emulate is Yeshua. That was why he embodied here.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one.
So I use that thing which I've said to you before. As a young child, I used to say, "What would Jesus do?" And so
I think Gautama Buddha is a good one too. I think Buddha saw the suffering of people and came up with the Buddhist school where, there are 4 sufferings and everyone will suffer. I mean, this idea that you can live a suffering-free life, and suffer does sound hard, but it's the contrast. If you don't have any unhappiness, you won't know what happiness is. So suffering is kind of a relative term. But I think we should wrap it up there, darling.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else you want to add?
No, just, keep your eyes on your higher self, go inward, keep your eyes on the higher self, and remember that, that guru is just a human being like you are. And we all have our flaws. We're just at different stages of learning, experiencing, and don't get derailed or don't get taken down by what you see as flaws. Just stay connected to your higher self. And there's a role for you. You are a guru in the making.
Oh, well, or learn from it, learn from the derailment. So that's our view. That's what we think about this. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention. Please do comment on what you think about this little conversation that Deborah and Ioannis have had, and like, subscribe and share, and press the notification bell so you can find out when our very next chat is happening. Thank you.
Yeah, and we
Thank you,
want
darling.
those comments. Bye.
Bye.